Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another video of Slime Isekai memories, and in the third part of, this Jubilee trilogy, we have done, if you only have the Dark Team, we have done the normal, Jubilee normal battles. So today it is time to tackle the boss battles, of which there's only two, which is actually kind of surprising. I spent a long time working on the normals, and then I went in late yesterday into the boss battle thinking there'd be 4 fights, and there's only 2 fights. So, it's a blessing and a curse, because it means I don't have to try as much on 2 stages versus 4. A curse is that, you're losing about 10 crystals from the other 2 stages that we would normally get for a normal Jubilee. So, here are my scores. Well, you can't see it, but we are rank 4 with 86.2 on the normal boss battle, and we are rank 8 with 84,000 on the AoE turn limit boss battle. So these are going to be, I have 2 teams for each one, but really it's just 1 team. Because if you have been playing this anniversary, it means that you should have the units to do the basic strategy of each team, right? You should have Veldora, you should have Milim, you should have Rimuru, maybe you have Shinsha. Probably don't have Diablo unless you really like Diablo. That's fine. He's not necessary component for either of these fights, really. So, we're going to do the same team turn 1, or for each video, right? It's going to be the jacked out Dark Team that we see in Tempered Edge. It's going to be big mommy damage with Milim. And then the other 2 fights for each one will be offshoots of such things. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Alright, so this is the team, right, that I'm going to use for both fights, for the start out. So, big mommy damage, stacking with Veldora, stacking with Valentine, got Rimuru for the AoE, Milim for the ult boost and single target, Isis for the orb changing and the green boosting, and then Shinsha for that dark damage buff. The turn boss battle is 8 turns, which means that you can fully stack up Veldora, and you can get the most out of Shinsha's dark buff without having to worry about not having enough turns. So for this fight, we're going to go with trying to get as much damage as possible, because this is the turn limit, so you're supposed to do the most damage possible, and this means, making sure you can get stacks of Veldora early, maybe a few extra ults in between, but really, on turn 8, you need to have Rimuru's ult, you need to have Valentine's ult, and not Valentine's ult, but Shinsha's ult and Milim's ult, because those are going to be the biggest damage dealers you have access to. So, let's go ahead and start this up. We do have to fast forward a bit. Here we go. I think this is it. Alright, sorry. Gave you a seizure. But, so, turn 1, it is a 4 green and 2 orange. But we didn't bring an orange orb changer. So we're just going to send the 2 oranges, and pray that we get a better hand next turn, which we do. We get 1 orange and 1 green. So perfect, we can use Milim's orb change right here, and then also use the green buff from Isis. So we're going to swap out Rimuru, or we're going to swap out Valentine. One of the 2. We're going to actually, no, that's why. Because we use the green buff, and then we bring Shinsha in to make sure that we can get her ult. Because, single target is good. One thing to note about these enemies is that both Shuna and Milim have physical resistance -20, and Benimaru has magic resistance -20. So if you're running an entire magic-focused unit, all of your normal attacks should be focused on Benimaru to do maximum damage. If you do it to the other 2, you'll do damage. You'll just do slightly less because they have a little bit extra resistance to magic than Benimaru does. So that's why I'm only targeting Benimaru with every single normal attack, and the single target ults. So we have Shinsha's ult. Awesome. Perfect, because we had 4 orbs for her that were boosted greens. So we're going to go ahead and send it here, because there's no point in hanging onto it for 6 more turns. We're going to get one again. So we have another full hand of greens. We're going to send all this again versus Benimaru. This gets us Rimuru's ult, which is very good. It gets us close to a Milim ult, also very good. We're continually using skills to stack up Veldora's power, which you're going to want that full 70% buff. So here we get another good hand of greens, because this only requires an Isis change at this point. We have 1 Milim orb, so we have 2 Shinsha orbs. So, okay, I mean, it can work. So I think we're going to swap in Valentine for Milim, and we need to start stacking with her. Or we're not. We're going to send... Oh, we're going to send Rimuru away. Interesting. Okay. So let's use a crit resistance down on everybody. Let's use Isis's Orb Change. We can then reset that. Or we're not going to. Ooh, okay. We're going to get Isis out for Valentine? Okay. So, see, it's been a while since I recorded these. Now we're going to use the alt buff, and then we're going to reset. So we're going to really try and take maximum advantage of the resetting of skills. So now we can use Milim's Orb Change to get that another hand of full greens right there at normal cost. More stacks of Veldora right there. So now we're just going to send this, and this will get us Milim's ult. It'll almost get Shinsha and almost get Valentine's ult. When the final 8th turn comes, you want an ult with Shinsha, Milim, and Rimuru, because you can have an AoE ult for Valentine, and that will probably do decent damage, but it means that you're not going to be able to put the 80% buff on someone, because you have to have Shinsha in there first to use that on 2 people, and then bring Valentine in, and it's just not going to work. So for maximum output, you want Rimuru, Milim, and Shinsha's ult on turn 8. So here, we get kind of unlucky because we can't really do much right here. We've used another stack of Valentine's alt buff. We have Milim's ult, so we're going to hold on to that now because we have, what, 4 more turns left? And there's no point in sending it again. But actually, there might be. Because I have 4 orbs of Milim, we could, but we don't. So here, what we're going to do is, because we have some extra points available, and we have 4 orbs of Rimuru, I think what I do here is I go ahead and use his crit buff and his AoE, because we're going to get a lot of it back from those other 3 orbs of Rimuru, 2 of them being greens and buffed. So we're going to use the alt buff, and then we're going to use the green buff, and then I think we also use his crit buff, just for extra damage. Or we don't. Never mind. Never mind. We don't do it. We hold on to the points. Alright, so there's an AoE, and then more normals. We're up to 377,000, which isn't great, but this run ends up being quite damaging at the very end because we have so many buffs going on. So I could have used the crit buff right there for a little bit extra damage, but I didn't want to waste the points just in case. We have 3 more turns technically, but, you know, who knows? Maybe that's a hindsight decision, but it is what it is. Again, we get some more oranges, which we can't deal with because we have Milim, who's going to change 1, but we can't get all 6, which is, you know, a flaw with this team. My biggest complaint with this team. It is what it is, though. So let's go ahead and just send these 2 oranges, try and get them out of here, so maybe next turn we can get a full hand of greens. We're going to do this. Sending 4 greens is cool and all, but it's not going to get what I want out of it. So I want maximum power. I want 200% orbs. That's what I want. We have a Shinsha ult, so good. We're holding a Milim ult, we're holding a Shinsha ult in the back. So, unfortunately, it means that if we swap Shinsha out for Isis, we're going to have an orange and a green, or an orange and a blue, which Milim could take care of, but Milim has an ult, so she would occupy one of those, and then we'd still end up with the same problem of only having 5 greens, even after her orb change. So, it is quite unfortunate. So I think what I do here is I just bring in Isis for Shinsha, and I hold her ult in the back. Because, you know, next turn is the last turn, and I want to make sure that we have Rimuru's ult, so he's going to get it with these 2 orbs for him. Valentine will get 1, but again, it doesn't matter. But I do want to make sure that we can hold on to Shinsha right here. And I also want 5 orbs, right? So, just checking to make sure that we have all 3 stacks of Valentine ready to go, so we are done stacking with her. We need 190 points, though, which we can get, probably. So let's go ahead and see. I'm thinking really hard about this. So I swap out Valentine, because it doesn't matter if she's up front at this point. So let's use an orb change. The green's already buffed. We should be fully stacked up with Veldora at this point. So we're going to send 5 greens. Will get us 101 skill points, so we will have maximum points ready to go. And we'll have enough to get 1 more stack of Shinsha's crit debuff, which is good. Even though it costs 35 points now, we can still use it, because we only need 190 to get all 3 of the big buffs going. So, now we're ready. We've got Shinsha ult, we've got Rimuru ult. We have an Isis Orb, which actually is super lucky, because that Isis Orb will be taken over by Milim, which means we have a 6 orb send for this hand, which is good, because, you know, Shinsha's going to get fully buffed up. It would have been better if it was a 6 orb of Milim, but, you know, you take what you can get, right? So there's the crit, there's the attack buff, there's the alt buff, there's the dark buff, there's the magic buff, and there's also the debuff from Shinsha. So we have literally everything. We're sitting at 412,000 points right now, and we're going to go up. Real up. So Shinsha does 318. Good. Milim does 530. Good. Rimuru does 250 per person, so we're at 2 million right now. 2 million damage. And a 69,000, nice, 200% orb with Shinsha. So, 2.1 million damage score right there. The best that I've received, and honestly, I'm not going to try anymore, because I have better things to do. So that gives us a final score of 84,000 and change, which is pretty good. It's got me at, what, like rank 6 right now or something? So definitely not oh, it's rank 8 now. I'm dropping as we speak. Oh well. So that's normal battle 1 right there. Let's move on, or not normal battle, but boss battle, the turn limit. It's going to be the same thing, right, for the other boss battle, but we'll put it in the video regardless. So let's move on to that. Alright, so this is an alternate team that you can use for the turn limit boss battle. This is a team that assumes that you have all 3 of the primary units, but you don't have Shinsha, and you don't have Diablo. So you don't have access to the orange orb changing or the AoE that Diablo has, and you don't have access to Shinsha's 80 or 70% dark boost. So we're going to try and make up for it by bringing an orange orb changer, who is also magic, so Aaron, free to play, and then we're also supplanting the support from Shinsha with the support from Dark Shion, who is a general banner unit. So your chances are that you might have her. If you have Shinsha, then put her on. If you have Diablo, put him in. But this is a team that's assuming you only have the 3 primary first banner units along with Isis, alright? So this is playing to the people who did not summon for Shinsha, did not summon for Diablo, or did summon and got shafted. You know, whatever works. But this is using the 3 primary units, 2 free-to-play units, and a very, very old OG general banner unit. So that's what we're going to use in this video. Spoiler alert, it doesn't do as well. Shion is not a magic unit. She is not getting anything from Diablo or Veldora except for being a dark unit. So she's here just for her pierce damage support. So we'll check out how it does. So let's go ahead and fast forward here. So obviously Aaron can orb change that turn 1, so we're actually covered on all aspects of orb changing, right? We have double orange from Aaron, we have double blue from Isis, and we have the 1-in-1 special convert from Milim. So we actually have a lot of converting that can happen here. It's just that, you know, we're missing a very, very big aspect of the damage pool coming from both Dark Valentine's permanent alt buff and Shinsha's dark buff. So hopefully the amount of greens that we can get, an amount of normal, like, 6-hand greens that we can send, can be good. Unless the game gives me 4 oranges, of which I can't do shit about. So, I can change 3 of them, but I can't change the last one. Oh, so we just skipped that one. Alright, so I need to fast forward more. All of my comments from the previous, clip are still relevant, right? It's just that I'm not going to deal with four oranges on turn 2. So it's just not conducive to, scoring as well as you can, and it's terrible RNG. I said we have both sides, all sides covered for converting, but there's only so much you can do if the game decides to give you shit. We get a super counter there, which also naturally pierces, so that's cool. This is not a counterattack based team, so we'll take it. But here we go. We can make use of this. We can do all aspects of... We cannot do all aspects of orb changing. No, yeah, we can. So we've done Milim's orb change, Isis's orb change. We're going to bring Aaron in for Isis, use Veldora, reset hers, and then use her orb change. And then we'll have another full hand of greens. Still no Isis boost because we don't have enough points for that. We are 1 point away, which is very unfortunate. Oh well, that's what happens. We're going to bring Shion in. Just for extra damage. Even though Aaron technically had the magic damage boost, she is not a dark unit, so using her to attack would not really benefit our weakness damage score. So we're going to send Xion. We're going to send the 2 Xion orbs against Milim, because she has, lower physical resistance, and then the rest of them against Benimaru, because he has the lower magic resistance. So maximizing who's hitting who will increase your score incrementally, but any increase is good, because it means you get more points. So here, we don't really have too much going for us, so we're just going to send the oranges, get them out of there. We have 2 alts for Milim and Rimuru, and I believe we send them, because we still have 5 turns left, and we have a lot of orb changing. So, I think that's what we do. So we're going to get Isis in here, we're going to use her orb change after we reset it, and her green buff, and then I think we actually use the crit buff as well, since we have a whole hand of dark units right here, and we have the points for it. So, yeah, we do. So there we go. So this will be a good turn. On turn 5, we're going to double nuke with an AoE and single target, 6-hand send. We've got the crit and 40% crit damage on dark units. Again, we're sending on Benimaru because he has lower magic resistance to make sure. We do 35.5 on that normal. That's pretty good. Rimuru does, I didn't even see how much that did. 81, I think it did like 40-something thousand, and then Milim did 81,000. So not the greatest damage, but again, we didn't have full stacks of Eldora, we don't have the alt buff, we don't have anything but that crit and dark damage, which is significant, but only a single buff. So now we have an Isis alt, which is cool. We don't have enough to use Milim for her orb change, which is unfortunate, so we're just going to send Isis out of here, and then we're going to use that orb change, and then we'll bring no, actually, we'll use Milim. What was I thinking? What was I doing there? Was I saving Isis's ult? I don't actually know what I was doing there. I should have kept her in and done that, but maybe I was waiting for like another good buff turn. Probably what I was doing. But we have another full hand of greens. We've got the green buff, so this will get us Veldora. So we're running okay here. Running okay. 429,000 damage and a full hand of oranges. Nerfed ass oranges. So I don't want to use Milim's ult anymore. We're on 3 turns left, so I want to save that and make sure we have, triple ult going for the last turn. So I think I just send the oranges, because there's nothing else to do. There's just nothing else for us to do here. They're only doing 1,800 a hit, 1,900 a hit right there. It's not great. So we have triple ult here now. We have 2 more turns after this, which is pretty good. And this is probably what I want to use for the final attack, because we need to make sure that the units, the Milim and Rimuru, have the Pierce buff. So what we could do here is we could either use the Pierce buff now and then send both of them to the back, and then use Xion's ult now, or we could do other things. So what have we done here? We have used the alt buff, we have used the crit buff, we're using Veldora. So we're gonna send it here. We're gonna send everything here now, because we'll have maximum power, right? And I don't have to worry about swapping people out. So this will be our high damage turn, and the next turn we'll have the Isis ult, which won't be buffed at all, but it'll be an ult. 250,000 right there for Milim, 113k each for Rimuru, and then 45k because Xion doesn't get the magic buff. So, and then a 48,500 normal right there. So 1.2 million, and we have 1 more turn left. We have 2 more ults. We have a Milim ult, and we have a Isis ult still holding in the back. And we have enough for Veldora, so it means we can at least give them 70% magic damage. But we don't have enough to do any Pierce, any Rimuru crit, or any ult buff. So it will look not as impressive. But it is still final turn extra damage, just to push us up that little bit higher. And a full hand of greens. So, I mean, we'll get something out of here, right? We'll get something out of this. And so, if you have Dark Valentine, put her in. If you have Shinsha, definitely put her in. And then just, watch the first part of this video and you'll be okay. But, if you don't have any of these units, then I'd use what you got. Dark Diablo 2.0, I guess, could be a fine single target damage dealer. He's got his own personal ult buff. I don't know. OG Dark Rimuru is an AoE magic unit, has guaranteed crits for himself, but it's just not as good. really you should be using the new anniversary units as you can. So 60.3 right there, like 20k less than my other score, but it is something, and it is a score. So there's an alternate team right there. Let's move on to the final part of the video, because I'm only going to show one team for the boss battle too. So we'll go into that. Alright, for the second boss battle fight, like you know what this is. This is the same team that we used for my main scoring on boss battle 1. Valentine, Shinsha, Rimuru, Milim, Isis. This stage is built for the Isis orb change turn 1, so more useful here. I'm not going to have a secondary team for this section, because honestly, run this team, and if you can't run Shinsha and you can't run Val, then bring other supports. Either bring another orb changer like we did for Aaron, and bring Dark Shion or something, but this stage is all about nuking Hinata into the ground. So whatever else kind of support you can bring that doesn't have this team built set up, that's what you're bringing. If you can't make this team, then why the hell were you playing this game and not summoning for these units? Veldora, Milim, Rimuru, Isis. 4 units, 1 of them is free, 3 of them are on the same banner that you should be summoning on. Shinsha, I can allow if you don't have her. Diablo, you don't need him here. You don't need him. I promise you don't need him. Don't have Dark Valentine because you don't have Octagram orbs? Bring Aaron. Bring some other orb changer that can do oranges to greens. But I'm only going to show this one team because it really needs no explanation. Big mommy damage with Milim. That's the whole name of this game. So, let's see how much big mommy damage I can do against Hinata. Alright, so we get Rimuru. The first turn is a double blue to double green orb change, so Isis is running wild here. So honestly, it's not difficult. We're going to swap Rimuru out. He doesn't matter. I don't care about him until the very last turn. He's not important. I'm not going to try and nuke anyone else. I'm not going to try and send multiple ults here, because I don't want to do that. I'm trying to build up Veldora. I'm trying to build up Valentine, and I'm trying to make sure I have enough points for everything to go right, which is 190 skill points by the last turn, which is turn 8, right? The max turn is, or full turn bonus score is turn 8. Anything after that, your turn bonus goes down. But honestly, like turn 8, this might as well have been a turn limit boss battle too, right? So here, we get pretty unlucky. we get pretty unlucky with the oranges. We're just going to live with it though. We're just going to send them. It's fine. We have 6 more turns to do it. This looks a little better. So now we can use the green buff. Green buff first. No, we don't do it. Okay, we go ahead. All right, whatever. Yeah, it's fine. So now we alt buff orb change, and we should have enough points to green buff as well. Oh, it's already green buffed. All right, never mind. We don't need to use it. So now we're gonna get Shinsha in here. For Valentine, we're in turn 3, so we're not really getting anything out of her trait anymore. We're going to use a stack of her debuff, and then we're going to send it. This will get us Milim's ult, so good. We don't have to worry about needing it anymore. We do a lot of damage the first 3 turns, because she has no defense turn 1, she has kind of defense turn 2, and then turn 3 she still has kind of defense, but then after that she starts putting up like guard. So I think turn 5 she has guard, so you do very little damage to her with your normals. So Milim's got an ult. Awesome. It's boosted by 40%, so we need 1 more stack of Valentine, and then we'll be ready on that front. So let's use her orb change. Yeah, so let's use her orb change first. And the green buff, again, just, for more stat skills. And then we can swap her out for Valentine or Rimuru, whoever. Swap her out for Valentine, that way we can use the reset on both her and Isis, and then we can do another stack, the final stack of Valentine, and an orb change with Isis, so that'll get us 5 greens, which will be decent points, and another stack of Shinsha. So that's 2 stacks of Shinsha, that's 10% crit resistance down, and then, 2 stacks of skill points on greens, which is, or all orbs, as I've been corrected in a previous video. It's all orbs. But greens are what we really care about here, so... Alright, so we're just hovering over 50% DHP in Hinata. We have technically 3 more turns now before we need to nuke. We have a couple ults, but we're going to send them. They're not buffed at all except for the 60%, but I do want to get her lower, so we're going to use them. The crit resistance down on the skill from Shinsha. I used it now because it's only a 1-turn debuff, right? And if I'm going to use it on the nuke turn, it means that she's going to be fully buffed, which means she's going to kill Hinata. And that's not what I want. So it's cool, but it's not really necessary. Or does it stay for more than one turn? Hold on. Is it a 2-turn? I'll check it right now. If it's 2-turn, then I fucked up, and we could do this better. But no, it's only 1 turn, so it's fine. I'm not missing anything. So turn 6, we have another ult for Isis, which we're not going to use. We've got Milim in here for her orb change, and another green buff, and another stack of Shinsha, so that's 15% now. And then we can also use Milim's orb change right here, and then we'll get her out of here for Rimuru, and that'll still pull in that last green, so we'll have 5 greens and Isis's ult here on turn 6, so we'll be looking pretty good. We're going to send it. This is boosted by the magic damage and the 60% ult, so she'll do okay damage. 43,000, okay. It's pretty good. And then we'll do these. She's got the guard up now. She loses the guard and all of her resistance and all of her defense on turn 8, so that is obviously when you want to nuke her. So we're now on turn 7. You can see that all of her resistances and guard are blinking, which means they leave next turn. She is going to ult you, which, you know, technically if you wanted a slightly better score and you had the points for it, you could use Rimuru's ult yoink here and, you know, negate it. But I don't have that, so we're just going to take it. We've got Milim up front to ensure that because she's under 50% HP, we're going to make use of Veldora's trait where if they're under HP, you get extra attack. So that's why Milim is up here a turn before the nuke, so she can get that applied to her. It just increases her damage. So there, we took an ult there, didn't do too much damage, whatever. But now, we're ready to nuke. We have 235 points, which means that we can use all 3 of the big buffs and another stack of Shinsha. So I believe that's 20% now that she's gone down for resistance. So there's the ult. There's the dark resistance. Here's another stack of the crit resistance. And then we'll bring Rimuru in for the final crit buff. So we have 65 points, so we're 10 points above what we need. So, and we have Veldora, so that's 70% magic damage right there. So we are ready to go. We need to maybe lower her health a bit more, so I believe we send an Isis orb as well, and it does fairly good damage. I didn't send Rimuru because I'm pretty sure he was going to die, or he was going to kill her. So we send 1 orb and then the ult to get her as low as possible to make sure we maximize the overkill. And she does, yeah, 27, which anything more than that would have killed. Rimuru would have killed. And then we do, what, 500 something there? And we get a final score of 86.2, which is my highest score so far. So that's going to be it. Use what you can for Boss Battle 2. You know, if you don't have Shinsha, bring Dark Xion or something. If you don't have Dark Valentine, bring Dark Xion, or bring Space Rimuru for a bigger attack buff. I don't know. Whatever you can to make sure that your Milim does the most damage possible. So that's it for me, guys. Let me know in the comments if there was a different team that you guys used for this. Put it in there so other people can see it and take advantage of it. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you later.